What's up, guys? Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you survived. We did. I look homeless as usual, and Josh over here looks magnificent after getting a fresh buzz cut. Dale, how we doing?
Doing well, Will. How are you?
I'm good. A little upset for a couple of reasons. One, still in the quarantine, but we're going to get through it. Two, the Jordan doc has finally concluded. It was, I would say, that is going to win an Oscar. I cannot express, and this is like an unbiased opinion, not because we're in sports media, but the totality of the entire project was magnificent. I can't remember the last 10-part series. The way that it was told in the cinematography of it, and there were certain elements that we've never seen, and it really cultivated what I think is going to set a new standard for documentaries.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was incredible. Parts 9 and 10 were arguably two of the better episodes.
And we thought 7 and 8 was good.
Yeah,
we thought 7 and 8 was really good.
You're right. Dude, my biggest takeaway still from 9 and 10, Rodman is the wildest athlete of all time. That dude.
So let's paint the picture here. So Dennis Rodman in the middle of the NBA Finals. So they defeated the Utah Jazz, who were really good. For them to go back-to-back, you had Karl Malone win the 97 MVP, and you had John Stockton, who a lot of people forget. He has to be in the pantheon of some of the best point guards in NBA history. And he even said to the dog, fuck you, I'm not afraid. I'm going to take on Jordan. I don't care. So the Bulls beat the Jazz, and then Rodman is nowhere to be found.
Nope.
There isn't social media back then, so there's no leak reports. Turns out he was at a wrestling event.
Hulk Hogan. He just left the NBA Finals to go wrestle with Hulk Hogan. Granted, that's incredible.
With Carmen Electra there.
Yeah.
With Carmen Electra there. And for him to think, and it's not like they had just won the entire thing. I mean, it was a tough battle. It was a tough series. And he said, fuck it, I got to do me. I need to get I have to be Dennis Rodman. That's never going to be done again.
No.
One, because not very many athletes are as eccentric as Dennis Rodman. And two, I thought they did a really good job with Phil Jackson, just showing how great he is. But the last two episodes were awesome. Of course, it's always centered around Jordan, the straw that that stirs the drink. And you know what that was good was the Steve Kerr.
Yeah, I agree.
There was a lot of.
I didn't understand. I didn't realize that Kerr was so much of a part of those teams.
And really, that dagger that they showed.
Here's Jordan. Did not have the shot. Kerr does. Seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. The Jazz take.
Was just awesome. And what I'm talking about too, in terms of his story, is with his dad. I don't know if you knew, but I had read some stuff that it was a really tragic story, and it had happened during the 80s. And he used that as motivation. I mean, if you look at Kerr, an undersized, shooting guard that, at times was kind of pushed to the side, didn't have the respect of Jordan, and just did it the right way, did the hard work, and the 6-for-6 that I think you were talking about. So when he went to U of A, he's a Wildcat. They were playing Arizona State. Those asshole student section fans were basically making fun of his dad's assassination. In order to compose himself, he didn't do anything bad. The only thing he did was just take their hearts and stomp on it and kick the shit out of Arizona State that day. I think they won by 30 points.
Yep.
At the time, Arizona State was ranked 3rd. But for Kerr to knock down those shots, and then what do you think about his little 5-minute bit at the ring ceremony?
Oh, that was awesome.
About the shot the other night.
Michael in traffic to Kerr.
And there have been some misconceptions about what actually happened. I wanted to clear it up. When we called timeout with 25 seconds to go, we went into the huddle.
He comes off, I'll be ready.
And Phil told Michael, he said, Michael, I want you to take the last shot. And Michael said, Phil, I don't feel real comfortable in these situations. So maybe we ought to go in another direction. Why don't we go to Steve?
I mean, for him to have that moment, what'd you think?
That was awesome. I mean, that was incredible. That was so funny. Imagine being on that team and like you have Jordan and Rodman and Pippen and Steve Kerr steals the show like that after winning the 6th ring. Like that was hilarious. He stole the show. Like that might have been moment of the show last night.
I think they did a really good job of I love the chronological effect on with the timeline, how they go back and forth. So it's all revolved around the 98 season, The Last Dance, and they're able to go back and forward. I mean, Jason Ayer for him, what do you do from here? You know, he was on ESPN last night and, you know, SVP has a really good question. It's like, how do you duplicate this? Like, this is the gold standard.
Go work on the Kobe doc. Go work on the Kobe doc.
I guess so. I mean, that's going to be just as powerful.
Yeah.
But, you know, for them to do that, and then you see, like, the anguish that he has, that Jordan has when it's finally over. And then how about, you know, the way they set it out. So they win in 98, and then there's that whole contentious, you know, toxic relationship between Phil Jackson and Jerry Krause, the GM, you know, rest in peace, he's passed away. And then Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner. You know, so Phil Jackson goes, and then that led to Jordan retiring again. And then you have Scottie Pippen, who left for the Houston Rockets, got like a $62.5 million deal. You got Steve Kerr who got traded, and then Dennis Rodman was released. And I would say that they've been in a rebuild since.
Yeah, no, they absolutely have. Dude, I'm surprised, honestly, after watching the documentary last night and seeing how badly it feels like everybody that was a part of that wanted one more opportunity. Yeah. I'm shocked that the owner didn't step up and either A, fire Jerry Krause because he's the reason that any of that friction was started to begin with.
Yeah.
Or B, made Jerry Krause get on his knees and beg for it to happen one more year.
Well, I think at that point, you know, if you're a good owner, you're going to let the GM do his job. You know, you're not going to micromanage. But in this case, because it was so special and it was so dynastic, and really we haven't seen anything like that since maybe the Spurs, maybe the Lakers, I guess you could say the Warriors in the last decade. To have someone as transcendent as Jordan, that's not going to happen for a long time.
Right.
So I think in terms of getting that 7th ring, I think on paper, yes, it would have made sense. But I just don't think it's going to work because look at what Phil had to go through. That's a day in. It's a mundane process that he has to deal with Krause every day. And if I'm Phil Jackson, I would know that, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I can't deal with my boss. It's like you've worked with a shitty boss before. We all have. It's like you can't
right.
It's hard to like hear their shit every day. And for him to be micromanaging and telling you how to do your job and saying you're going to go with these trades. And look, Tim Floyd, who replaced him, I mean, he was on the staff. I mean, the writing was on the wall. Like, he was going to be replaced. So if I'm Phil Jackson, I think he made the right choice at the time before he went to L.A.
Right.
And then with Scottie Pippen, because I think that's the X factor. Because if you think about it, if he were to come back the next year, and if Reinsdorf was able to, like, pry open his piggy bank and be able to pay him and then convince Krause to get him on a multi-year deal, I mean, he was 34 at the time. And how about him, like, willing his way through that game with the back injury? I didn't think he was going to stay. I really didn't.
I don't know. It's just interesting to talk about.
Yeah, I think at that point he wanted more money. I mean, think about if you're Pippen at that time, 6 rings, pretty fucked up. You're going to want that money. You want that safety. You want that protection for life. What would you have done?
Looking back, I'm a part of the best team of all time. But on the other hand, I need paid. So what do? I don't know what the answer is.
I think he made the right choice. Because even if they were to go out and try to pursue the 7th ring.
But, like, Pippen didn't even have, like, an opportunity to make a choice at that point, in my opinion. Like, his choice was clear. Once Jordan and Phil was gone, Pippen was gone, right? Like, that was his only choice. He wasn't staying there. But if Jordan would have came back and Phil would have came back, then he would have had a choice. Like, he is scratch-free from this, in my opinion. Like, him leaving the Bulls is completely irrelevant in the overall decision-making. He was never given an opportunity to stay. Dude, so guys, if you haven't watched the Jordan doc, Will and I loved it. Go watch it. Highly recommend it. Baseball has some big news. Will, you were telling me about that. What do you think? Tell me a little bit more about baseball proposal.
Jeff Passan of ESPN reported that there's going to be some draconian measures. Look, this is what it boils down to. Last week, it's been about money. It's been about how can we not put a salary cap in baseball? How can we pay the players? How are they going to stick to their word from that March agreement where they said that they would get a prorated salary? That's not happening anymore because this new measure that was brought out is saying that in order for this to come back, if there is like an 82 game season, whatever, some of these things that they're going to have to go through, you cannot spit, you can't chew sunflower seeds, you can't chew bubble gum. The rosin bag, which is like that chalk bag for pitchers on the mound, if they get sweaty hands, they're going to have their own personal one. If there's a base hit and the baseball touches multiple players, they have to switch it out. Biggest traditions in baseball is the managers going to home plate and exchanging lineup cards with the umpire. That's going to be sent through an app. And one of the kind of weirder, disgusting ones is that showering post-game. Grown men playing professional baseball is not going to be allowed to take a shower. That is so ridiculous. My thing is this. Just fucking cancel it. It's not worth it. No.
Yeah, it seems this is extreme. This is extreme. Not being able to shower is just taking it to a different level. Like, I can understand maybe not using a lineup card. Or I get changing baseballs. I get that stuff. But at the end of the day, you can't chew sunflower seeds. Like, you can't have bubble gum. You can't spit. Like, you have to change rosin bags all the time.
You can't do chewing tobacco. One of the biggest – and then –
if you're negative, you're negative, right? If you're negative, then what does it matter?
Yeah,
we're not letting any positive play.
They can't take an Uber. They're going to be basically quarantined in a certain hotel. And we're talking about just the home teams. There's no buffet after the games. The COVID measures, so this stems around COVID. So they have to take their temperature like 3 different times. They do it right when they wake up. They take that to a team trainer. They do it right before they get to the stadium. And if you're tested positive, they're going to do, contact tracing to see who have you been in contact with. It's just so tedious. And that's at home. So if
I don't like it.
That's if you're tested positive. If you're on the road, what it is boiling down to is that they can't even really help because these front office personnel and these training staff, there's only X amount of people that can travel with the team. And say, you're Cleveland Browns, you're Cleveland Indians. If Francisco Lindor is in Detroit and he tests positive, all of the Indians have to go back to Cleveland to play their games at Progressive. Lindor has to stay in Detroit. And who is going to go there? Is it the team physician? Is it going to be a medical personnel? That's the biggest thing. At this point, why would you even want to go through that?
Right. So this is my thought on what I think is going to happen. If the money's right and the players agree on the money, they're going to put up with these rules. And it's going to be the weirdest baseball we've ever seen.
It is.
But if the money's not right, I don't think that your stars they're gonna play under these rule sets. There's no way.
Exactly. Well, now that these rule sets are put in place, they're not put in place yet, but it's on the table. Okay, now we're just doing a big ass circle again. It's back to how much are we getting paid?
Yeah,
it's a good point. If you are getting paid, you fucking have to suck it up. I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, in terms of quarantine, you're not allowed to leave your house. Sometimes you kind of lose contact with people. A contractual dispute between a very popular podcast, and we will call Her Daddy. Call Her Daddy is an extremely raunchy, just X-rated sex talk podcast between Alexandria Cooper and Sophia Franklin. And they are employees of Barstool Sports and are under the Barstool Sports umbrella because they signed a 3-year deal. Yeah. Well, they haven't said anything. They haven't posted anything. They haven't provided any sort of content in about 7 weeks. So in the peak of this quarantine, everyone's wondering what's going on. Well, founder Dave Portnoy set the record straight. Elaborate.
All right. So pretty much, I believe it was October of 2018. Mm-hmm. Call Her Daddy had their first episode. And I remember when Call Her Daddy started, I've never seen them promote a show like they promoted this show at the beginning. I mean, everywhere I looked on Barstool, there was Call Her Daddy ads, just like clippets of their show that's going to be launching.
And let's keep in mind, these are the dirtiest fucking shit. I mean, we're
the guy. Everyone wants to know, is it hot to send him a video of you getting fucked by another guy or sucking another guy's dick?
I don't know if everybody wants to know.
Everyone around the world wants to know.
No.
I mean, we're talking about getting fucked in the ass, sucking your dick right after. It is
like foul. They got their, I think it was like their 3rd or 4th episode was called the Gluck Gluck 9000. It was literally how to give a blowjob.
Yeah, deep throat.
And it's how they got huge. Like, these girls are so popular that they blew up instantly. Like, they're good looking. They talk about sex. Like, guys love them. Girls love them. and said, "Hey, Dave, I need more money. Like, can you pay me more?" And Dave's like, "Yeah, you guys are very successful." Alex at this time
and
did
Alex
the shooting.
started the podcast. She put in
Right.
the legwork. She did all the editing, all the promoting.
Yeah.
And then Sophia thinks she's like
Yeah.
Kardashians. Like, I don't have to do anything.
Literally.
And I can totally see it.
Yeah.
Because it seems that Alex is more invested.
Yeah.
And you know how it is in this industry. Editing, all that stuff. It's a lot
hard.
of work.
It's hard.
It is.
But
And they were
yeah.
getting so much. How much was Alex getting? $500K? And
Well,
then,
not at first. Not at first. I think they're starting with 70 and 75 or something like that. But they had like money goals. So like if they sold a certain amount, they got money.
Incentives.
They had a ton of incentives.
It came down to downloads and listens. If they reached certain numbers, they were going to be they would be profitable.
Right. And like I think by month 9 or 10 of the first year, they were both making around $400,000 with incentives still.
Yeah.
They got their raises, they got their money.
Including selling merchandise.
Right. But Barstool, as they should, when they sign these girls, they got the intellectual property rights. So Barstool owns all of Call Her Daddy. Owns the name, the likeness. They own everything and these girls for the next 3 years.
They provide the platform. Yep.
Right. Like I believe they own the IP even after Alex and Sophia's contracts are done.
Yeah.
So pretty much Alex and Sophia went to Dave during quarantine, sat on the rooftop, said, "Dave, we fucked up. Like, what do we do to stay with Barstool?" Dave said, "We'll give you $500,000 each, your incentives. And at the end of the year, they cut the contract by 2 years to a year. We'll give you IP back." They went blank. They didn't talk to Dave. They didn't say anything to anybody.
Radio silence.
Literally radio silence. Sophia is dating now Suit Man, as he was called on the show, turned out to be Peter Nelson, who's an HBO sports executive. Peter Nelson did a hit piece on Barstool about a year ago. Like calling them sexist, and it was outrageous. If you haven't seen it, look it up. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, look it up. That's a whole nother topic I could go into. But he's pretty much telling Sophia, "Hey, Sophia, you can do better. I can get you a better deal. Let's get you out of Barstool." Mind you, Barstool is a very smart company. You might not agree with everything they do, but they take the proper steps to protect their ass on all fronts. There is nothing the Call Her Daddy girls can do.
Yeah, I think they definitely fucked up.
They have to work.
And here's the thing, because Alex, I think, is trying to do the right thing and is listening to what Dave has to offer. And you look at these bigger, podcasts that Barstool has with Part of My Take, with Big Cat PFT, or Foreplay with Riggs, Frankie, and Trent. Those are probably two of the bigger ones.
Yeah.
And for them to do that and turn it down, like, I don't know. Sophia is she's the dumbass.
Sophia seems to be done. And what these Call Her Daddy girls are not understanding either is the Dave Portnoy effect. If you go to Twitter right now and just search Call Her Daddy, everybody's like, fuck Call Her Daddy without Barstool. I don't want anything.
They're not anything
without Barstool.
They used the platform, and I get, because the New York Post put out a little piece about it too, and it sounded like either some television shows or books were trying to offer them deals worth millions, but because they're under that umbrella, the Barstool, they're under that contract, they can't do that.
Right.
And they were trying to break away from it, which is illegal. When you sign a contract, you cannot do that.
Yeah, and I love that Barstool's putting their dicks on the table and saying, "Let's go." I love it.
Hey, Nardina, or what was her name? Erica Nardini.
Erica Nardini.
Yeah, the CEO. They're taking the right precautions. I just think I want to take Alex's side, because I listened to what Dave had to say. She's like, "What are you doing? Like, there's no way that if you're doing your homework correctly and you know what the fuck's going on, there's no way they're getting more money than that." And in terms of the IP and getting those rights, that is huge, because then they can go ahead and flip that to whatever they want. But she's not listening.
No. So for those of you that don't know who Peter Nelson is, go look him up in Twitter right now. It is hilarious what Stoolies are doing to Peter Nelson's name right now.
Whether they're done, look, I listened to a few episodes. They are entertaining. They are extremely raunchy. But, hey, look, they're not following it. There he is.
The infamous Peter Nelson. I feel bad for him. Stoolies are going to have a field day with this one.
Yep. Well, the Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, give it an Oscar. Give it now. It was awesome. I would even consider rewatching the entire thing. It was fun while it lasted.
Yep.
And I'm glad it gave us something in these last 5 weeks or so to talk about. And hopefully with sports returning, we had a golf match yesterday. We had some NASCAR racing. Hopefully it gets better. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
See ya.